Welcome to the forge. Today we're making a hole punch, and we're going to do it all by hand at the anvil. No power hammers or strikers today. A hole punch is a pretty simple tool. There are basically only three operations that we need to take care of. First, we need to taper our stock down to the right dimension. I like a fairly fine tip on my hole punches, so I'm going to be going down to about 1/4 of an inch here at the end. As you can see, this 4140 is pretty tough steel. Now it's not a super high carbon content, but it's still taking a lot of breaking down to get the shape that I want. Don't worry about it, just keep working it at the higher heats. Once it starts getting down to a low orange or a high red, it's probably time to take another heat. If you're going to start making your own hole punch by hand, I hope you're ready for a workout. The second operation we need to perform is rounding out the end of this hole punch. Now, if you're looking to make a square hole punch for some reason, you can skip this step, but most of the time you're going to be reaching for a circular hole punch. Since this is a higher carbon content steel, it's going to take a little more convincing to turn it into a round shape. At the tip, we can go straight from 4 to 8 sides and then take that 8 sides to a round. But for the middle and upper sections of this taper, we're going to need to go from 8 to 16 before we start rounding it out. And there's a good chance you're going to need a few heats to make it all the way through. So take your time and make sure you get the shape that you're looking for. Once you have the end of your hole punch looking good, we can move on to the third operation, which is heat treatment. If you're not familiar with the steps involved in heat treatment, don't worry, we're going to go over them right now. Heat treatment step 1 is normalization. We need to heat up the steel to above its critical temperature and let it slowly cool down to room temperature. What this does is it relieves the stresses that have built up in the steel. The second step of the heat treatment process is going to be the hardening step. This is where we heat up the steel just to its critical temperature when it becomes non-magnetic, and then we quench it very rapidly in water. This is going to make the steel very, very hard, but unfortunately, it's also going to make it brittle, which wouldn't make it a very good tool. Now, before we move on to step 3 of the heat treatment process, we need to make sure that step 2, the hardening, actually worked. Luckily, we can test this pretty easily. Grab a file and run it along the working end. This is going to be the tip of the hole punch. The file should skate right off of it like it was skating off of glass and have a very high pitch as it moves across the metal. If the file bites into the hole punch, like leaving a good gouge and taking out metal, then you know that the hardening didn't work. This means we need to go back to the first step of the heat treatment process. Normalize the metal, let it cool down, then we need to heat it back up and do another hardening attempt. The tool is hard when it skates a file, meaning the file can't bite into it because the tool is too hard and the file can't get purchased. Again, that feels and sounds like you're running a file against glass. It's very high pitched and the file will not dig in or bite into the tool. That means that the hardening has worked. Now that we have a hardened tool, we can move on to the third and final phase of heat treatment, tempering. We're going to use a fairly simple method for tempering this tool. We're going to heat up the back end, the striking end of this hole punch, and let that heat run up towards the tip of the tool. In order to see those temper colors, you're going to need to take some sandpaper or a file and clean up the tip of the hole punch. You need to be able to see the bare metal so you can watch the temper colors run. When you get to a low or medium straw, you're going to want to arrest the temper. To do that, just quench the hole punch in water. And then you have a finished hole punch. This tool is now ready to be used. Wait, what's that sound? Oh yeah, I think past me is coming for it. Well, that's how you make a hole punch. And if you have no idea what just happened to that hole punch, you should go back and watch my how to make a utility hook video. It'll explain everything. Thanks for coming along on the project. Hope to see you guys in the next video.